Welcome to an hour of power. I am Keith Anthony Blanchard, spiritual teacher, musician, author of the best-selling book Homecoming: Crossing the Bridge to the Soul, and your host of Center of Light. Let's dive in. Welcome to Center of Light, everybody. Keith Anthony Blanchard here. Good to see you. It's been a while. Where have I been? I don't know where I'm at most of the time. Somewhere out in the galaxy. I've been recording a new album. I just got some recording gear in. The learning curve was pretty intense. All that being said, I'm working on some music. It's been 12 plus years, whatever, since I did some recording. So since I can't do any live music stuff right now, I'm just sitting in the house, fashioning this beautiful idea. At least I think it is. I have some really good song ideas. It's going to be dreamy, Led Zeppelin meets Enigma meets Anya kind of idea. They had a brain child, and it looks like me sitting in this chair all day long, putting tracks into a recording machine. Welcome to Center of Light, Center of Divine Enfoldment and Reinforcement. Strap in all my brother and sister astral knots as we launch for inner space. I have a really good interview for you tonight. Miss Nicky Allen, psychic Nicky Allen. Let me tell you a little bit about her. I'm going to get on the air, and she's going to tell you the rest of the story. As Paul Harvey would say, the rest of the story. Devon-based Nicky was born in Essex in 1970. Nicky was the granddaughter of a seventh son, paternal side from the East End of London. Throughout her childhood, she was surrounded by spirit people, had premonitions, psychic dreams, heard mysterious voices, Nicky, and received regular visitations. She thought this was the norm and that everybody could do this. I had a nephew who thought everybody can do what he did. And we said, we have no idea what you're talking about. She thought this was the norm and that everybody could do what she did. Due to her career as a police detective, her mediumship sadly took a backseat, but always bubbled away in the background, consisting of doing readings for people during the evenings from the age of 21. She has a bio this long. So we're going to just get her right on Center of Light Radio and let her tell her story and hang out with a beautiful spirit. Hello, Nicky Allen. Welcome to Center of Light Radio.
Hello, gorgeous man. I tell you something. As soon as you get your album done, I really want it. Enigma is my favourite band of all time.
I love it. I love Enigma.
Oh, my goodness. I am so excited. As soon as you said Enigma, I was like, oh my God, yes, I want some of that.
I've been listening to Enigma for years. I loved it. From the first album when I heard it, I was like, oh my God, it's so drones on and meditative, and it just puts you into that sensual kind of dreamy swirl.
It can be a bit hello, can't it? It can be a bit sexy, I'm not going to lie. Return to Innocence, baby.
Yeah.
That is my favourite. Oh my goodness. I have it on all the time. All the time. I don't even have to ask Alexa. She just goes, yeah, I know, I'm putting it on. Don't bloody bother me, I'm putting it on.
I've done the same for years. I would just have, when I had a CD player, I would just have the whole thing just repeat itself. And I'd go away for 2 hours, 3 hours, whatever. I'd come back and warmly walk into the house, and I was caressed by this beautiful music. Welcome to the show, dear. Tell us a little more about yourself, and how do you want to lead off with this dance? Talking about your book, Diary of a Psychic, a miracle journey towards healing chronic illness.
Absolutely. It was a miracle and a half. And the thing is the thing I love about it is obviously you've said, I am obviously a born psychic medium. I come from many, many generations before me. All my family have all of the spooky dooky things going on. They're either healers, psychics, mediums. My brother's a full-time medium, my sister Rayleigh. And so lots of people, may say, well, hang on a minute, she's kind of already there. So, if there's miracles that have happened, it's because she's psychic and most probably saw a load of it. You try to think of the skeptical people. But the magic of this story of my journey is that I had a road accident back in 2012. And at the time, I was at the top of my industry. I was just about to come over to the US and tour over there. I also was going to go to Australia. I had a TV opportunity that was going to be amazing, traveling the world. I was at the top of my industry and I literally was riding high. I was smashing it over here in the UK as a psychic medium, which I'd built up really from being a police detective, which is a bit of a change in vocation. But you know, I was a family liaison officer when I was in the police, mainly looking after murder victim families and rape victims. So this kind of is like an extension of that, continuing looking after and bringing comfort to people during the physical death, if you like. So anyway, I had this road accident. And a very long story short, after a year of being completely incapacitated, laying in bed and in agonising pain, I was diagnosed with ME, which will be chronic fatigue syndrome, it's mainly known as over in the States, and fibromyalgia. Now, all I knew about that is back in the 80s, it was called the yuppie flu. I don't know if it was called that in the States, but it was just, you know, I just thought, oh, you know, you're a bit tired, get over it. And, you know, you're a bit achy, it's fine. So I'm a bit of a tough old bird, so I thought it'd be fine. But a long story short, I lost everything in the end. My partner ended up stealing thousands from me because he didn't want to be with someone that was stuck in bed. I had 5 years in bed. I was homeless. I lost both my homes. I lost my career, my friends, my health. Everything that we hold dear in our lives on a material plane, it was smashed and taken away from me totally. So I was sofa hopping for 8 months because I had nowhere to stay. I had 2 dustbin bags. Everything had been taken from me and my 2 little rescue dogs. And so what I want to go back to is that people say, yeah, well, you know, you're a psychic, so no doubt you had spooky things happen. I'd lost my faith. I thought that I would mind read all my life. I thought I'd hallucinated all the angels and the spirit people I'd seen. You know, I saw my dad 2 days after he died in a road smash when I was 9 years old, and I just thought I'd made it all up. I hated the spirit world. I had no faith. They had basically left me homeless with an uncurable disease where I was laying, the prognosis being laying in bed for the rest of my life, not being able to walk or do anything. And so I was the least open to miracles that you could possibly ask for. So when the first synchronicity started and the signs started, and I'm thinking this is a bit weird because I was just thinking, God, I really need somewhere to stay. And then, you know, my computer would come alive and there'll be a Rightmove advert, which is our estate agents over here, real estate. And this cottage came up that I'd always looked at for many years before, saying I'm going to live there because it was in a cemetery. And I used to think, how cool would it be to live with the dead? That is so cool. And I used to joke about it. I used to go past this old Victorian cottage and go, that's my house, that is. And everybody used to go, ha, 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 that's funny, that's funny. So when I kind of turned up at this place, I realised it was the cottage that I'd been joking about. And as I say, it's all in Me, Myself and I, in my book. And I didn't have a penny. I didn't have any money at all. I'd lost all my credit. So there was no way I could actually rent this place. But for some godforsaken reason, my nan from the spirit world the night before had said, it's going to be yours. So I phoned the realtors up and said, you know, hey, I want this cottage. So I said, no problem. And my friend said, how are you going to pay for it? How are you going to get in there? I said, I don't know. I just know I will. And then randomly, a friend of mine offered the deposit money. Don't even ask me how I got through the credit check. It's impossible because I just literally lost my home and my mobile home down here. So that was a miracle in itself. But then once I got in there, I dipped even worse into this health crisis, mental health crisis as well, where I just became suicidal and I just wanted to die because the pain and the other 200 odd symptoms that you get through this condition completely annihilate every will to survive. It absolutely smashes you to pieces. And I was just laying there incontinent. Sometimes I woke up, I couldn't see out of my eyes, I couldn't hear, I couldn't be exposed to sunlight. I thought I was turning into a vampire because I was awake all night and I couldn't bear sunlight. I was an insomniac for 3 years, roaming around the cemetery. This is really funny, right? One night I thought, God, I think I can walk. And I had a white fleece robe with a hood on it. And I had this hurricane lamp that I used to use when I used to walk out when I had the insomnia. And I didn't think about what I was doing, Keith. But one night I heard, and there was this big car smash up this hedge and then goes back down again, because it's obviously seen me roaming through the cemetery with a hurricane lamp in a white fleece. They've just thought they've seen the best post of their life. So they weren't hurt. So I'm not laughing because they weren't hurt. They weren't hurt. They were fine. I thought, oh my God, that, you know, people just sit. I'm a nutter that I'm roaming around. And really, for anybody that listens that has chronic illness or is going through what I've gone through, there was a point where, you know, I kept getting dreams and I kept thinking I was seeing spirit people and all the rest of it. And I'm like, go away. The air was blue. I was a lot ruder than go away. There was a lot of F's going on there. I tell you that for nothing. And then eventually I came to the conclusion that if I wasn't strong enough to kill myself, I'm going to have to do something about it. So I decided to surrender. So I did it very, very well. It was freezing. It was February in England. In February, it's not a good idea to walk out into a cemetery and get naked. And that's exactly what I did. I felt like I needed to show my vulnerability, like you do.
I totally get it. I totally get that, because sometimes it takes something beyond normal to show just how serious we are about the wanting of a something. I've done such things in my life. It's sort of like, it's vulnerable. Exposing yourself.
Yeah.
You know, it's really not about the getting naked. It's about the intention of doing whatever it takes to change, receive, elevate, lift, whatever it may be.
Absolutely.
How long was this dark night of the soul for you?
5 years. 5 years.
Mine was 2 years, and that was plenty. I had enough of that.
Oh my God, you went through it as well. Because I didn't know. It was only when I can't remember who said to me about the dark night of the soul. Never heard of it. And then when I read it, I thought, oh my, this is me. And you know, on that surrender that night, I literally just knelt down, absolutely broken, and just said, right, well, I can't kill myself because I've got my 2 little dogs here. That's obvious. So I need you to really sort me out because I can't do this anymore. And I knelt to the floor, completely broken and naked, saying, I just surrender my soul to you. And I did that. And after that, honestly, when I read the book back, because at the moment I'm doing a narrated version, because I'm not famous and posh enough to have audio on Amazon, darling. So I thought, wow, there's so many people coming to me because they've got chronic illness and disabilities. They can't read the book. So I'm narrating it at the moment, and I'm going to put it on YouTube and, you know, private access to it for people that want to listen to it. And I'm reading it back thinking, did I really, really go through that? Did I really have all this happen? And yes, I did. When I had angels visiting me and spirit people like my family and my guides visiting me, my dogs would go absolutely mental at the area where they were manifesting. So I knew that I wasn't seeing things because the dogs were reacting to it. Not only that, they'll then back it up with further synchronicity and signs to say, you didn't dream this, you didn't make it up, we're really here and we're really going to get you back to where you are. And, you know, I could go on forever about the miracles that happen, but all I can tell you now is that I had a lot of trauma in my past. You know, I had a lot of abuse in my childhood, my adolescence, after my dad passed. And I was a pretty mucked up girl. And despite being a police detective and very good at my job, I still had a lot of demons going on. And they cleared the lot. They cleared my debt in a day. This man rocked up called Ragawell. And I'm like, who are you? He goes, I'm an angel. I'm like, I've never heard of you. And then I Google him. He's the archangel of like balance and harmony and sorting debt out. And I'm like, wow, that's cool. And I literally, you know, I £65,000, which must be what, about $90,000 was cleared in a day. And it just, he literally said, do this and trust me, you will not have any more debt left. And it just
when you see these, when you see these beings, when you say spirit people and deceased love, whatever, or angels, how do they appear to you? Do they look like we think they look, or is your way of seeing something completely different than the eyes? It's a little bit of both. Are the balls of light? Is it just a feeling that they're present? All of that? None of the above?
It's none of the above. I'm making it up. I'm joking. Do you know what? It depends on how they manifest. Sometimes they are right in front of me as clear as day. For instance, when my nan visited me on the landing to tell me about a medication I needed to take that would get me up walking, Right, when she turned up, I saw all this glowing light. The dog started barking, and then she turned on the landing, which is like, the area just outside the bedroom, and all I could see was her face, and it was like glittery and light, a bit like, do you know Ghost, the film Ghost, when Patrick Swayze, that bit, it kind of looked like that. Then other times she just looked like a human being. Then other times she was just in my head, dependent on my energy and how they were manifesting. When the seraphim came to the house to protect it and me, the whole place darkened. And I thought there was like, an aeroplane or something really low overhead. And it was a sunny day and the whole place darkened. I'm like, what is going on? And then I heard, though, Juliana say, don't worry, the seraphim are here, who's my main soul guide. So it was all different. Sometimes it was dream state. Sometimes I could physically hear them manifest independently next to me. Other times I would see light. Other times I would see a full figure. So it changed all of the time. And during the book, there's the journey also of the dream state, which I call the spiritual boot camp. That was incredible. It was like lucid dreaming every night, and that's never left me. I lucid dream all the time at the moment, and that's never left me. So again, if they thought I was too, because you got to remember, I could hardly lift my head. I was literally laying like a corpse. I was living dead. And I couldn't do a lot at all. And so a lot of the time, perhaps my energy was too dense. So they thought, right, we'll come to in a dream state. They were clearing it. Exes, I was dreaming about exes, which was really good. I was kicking their ass.
When you have these visits or experiences going down, and it's a pretty intense one, are there people around you? And if there are people around you when such things happen, how do you handle the situation? You say, give me a moment. And you handle it? Or you say, are they part of the package and they kind of like tripping out on you, I mean.
What, the people around me now, you mean?
Yeah, just the real people around you. Do you have experiences like if you're having a party right now and there's 10, 12 people at your house and some angel or some otherworldly being wants to decide to come be a part of the party? How do you handle that? You just ignore it or say, go away, I got friends over, leave me alone, come back later? Or how do you do that?
It depends how urgent it is. It's like, for instance, I know this is really naughty. I know it's really naughty, but it was my friend's birthday week before last, and we had a secret meeting. None of us, we all work from home anyway, and we didn't go out, and we were very naughty. I surrender now. I did do it, and I went round to a house, and I didn't realise that her friend, her sister, was a devout Christian. They hate us. I've had them like demonstrate outside my theatres and say that I've sold my soul to the devil and all sorts of stuff. Anyway,
you should have went out there and joined them.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, what is it? I love it.
She walked in. And there was this lady there, and she goes, tell her that David's no good for her and she really needs to get stronger about it. So as she walked in, I'm not going to lie, I'd had a couple of Prosecco's, bit of fizzy wine. So as she came in, I went, hi, I said, your nan's just said that you should really keep away from David because he's really bad for you. And why are you even thinking about having him back? You've just signed the divorce papers. She just went, beg your pardon. And then the whole place went, oh no, she's a devout Christian. She is going to literally lose her. Right. And so I'm like, what did I say? Because all my other friends are spiritual. Most of the, like attracts like, I find in the universe. So most of my friends are very spiritually orientated, and they never say, oh, can I have a reading or anything like this, but they're very interested if I go, oh wow, someone's just walked in, so they're very respectful of that. But they all went, oh, she so didn't just talk to a dead person in front of her, she so didn't do that. And so she looked, and you could see her just about to go, I'm not happy with that. But then she obviously sized up the fact that we were at a birthday party. There was only a couple of us, or 5 of us. And so she just, swallowed back words. But then later on said, I can't believe she said that to me. So sometimes I kind of speak before I think. And you haven't done that for a long time. But I was right. Her husband is a complete a-hole. And she was divorcing him. She was going back with him. I'm like, what were you thinking? And so she did admit it. She goes, we obviously told her that. And they went, we didn't say a word. I said, you know, I didn't even know she was coming here. You know, she's your friend's sister. I didn't know who she was. And so, yeah, so sometimes I kind of do the wrong timing, but generally I time it right. You know, if it's right and it's like, you know, quite urgent, or I know that I need to get to someone really quickly with a message, I'll do it. If not, I say, look, you know, come back later, guys. We're having a bit of a chill out. Don't need to be doing this now. You know, I don't want to turn it into the Nicky Allen show every time I'm around people, you know, because you know, sometimes, yeah, they do expect it, and it's a bit like work, really, you know. And I say to them, they go, oh, is anybody about, Nicky? Sometimes I go, well, if you just type that out, because that's what you do at work, isn't it? Type me out a report while we're sitting there having a drink, see if you like doing that as well. I go, okay then, okay, we don't want to know if there's anybody about. But as I say, if it's urgent, then yeah, I will pass the message on. Definitely, I will listen. But if it's something that I can deal with later on, I say, yeah, I'll take a memo, or yeah, just send us an email later and I'll deal with it. But they generally leave me alone, to be honest with you. But all I can say is that whatever they did to me during that time, I was so far off my path that again, it's in my story that Julianus, my main guide, says, you know, did you honestly think we'd have to put you through all of this pain? You were so off your path that we're now going to have to drag you back through all of the rubbish that, you know, we kind of called it the brambles. He showed me like this big woodland. So we've got to drag you back to get back on that path. He said, so you've got to be patient. And luckily, my dad also visited me from the spirit world back in 2013. And said the same. You're going to go through the worst time of your life, but you're going to come out so different. You're going to teach on a different level. You're going to have a deeper understanding, and you're going to be the happiest you've ever been. And they're right. I'm full of abundance. I literally ordered a place. The beach is just literally there, just behind me. I've got woodland and lakes here. I ordered everything, a bit tongue in cheek. I ordered, I want a little place. I don't want anything too big because, you know, I might have bad days. I want to be next to the beach. I want some nice woods as well so I can see all the wildlife and the birds. And I'd like this, I'd like that. And I got it. I mean,
can you call people to you, or is it you get what you get?
Depends. For instance, the other day I was doing a reading for a lady in Hawaii. I was so jealous. I'm a diver. I'm a scuba diver. So
Wow.
half the time I was saying, "Oh wow, what's the diving like there?" She goes, "Look, can you just hurry up and give me my reading?" Anyway, I got somebody, and I said, "No, there's someone else you want to hear from. There's someone else you want to hear from, darling, isn't there?" So I can get the spirit person who's in attendance to fetch someone else relevant. Do you know what I mean? So, for instance, just say if an uncle comes through and I know her mum's passed, I said, can you go and get mum? Is she about? Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But you know, I teach my students as well. Obviously, it's a lot harder now with lockdown. So do a lot of Zoom stuff and stuff on YouTube, on my YouTube channel, where I try and teach people that are working mediums, developing mediums, that are going to be doing messages for people. Ask, because if you don't ask, you don't get. Interactive mediumship, that's the way forward. So some people come to me and I say, oh, didn't your dad come through? Well, no, they said, you know, he wasn't there, they just couldn't feel anything. I said, well, did they ask and say, well, hang on a minute, go and get dad? No. And sometimes the spirit person will go, oh, right, okay, and they'll go and get whoever you ask for.
Many people don't know to ask. Scripture says, ask and you shall receive. They think this is some far off metaphorical idea. Just simply ask.
Just ask. And then what do you do for a living? What's your favourite hobby? What's your favourite colour? And they normally will tell you. If you've got a really good energy, a triangle of energy going on with you, the recipient, and the spirit person, you can get anything from them. I remember once, and it was brilliant because everybody's all brave. I used to go and do these intimate evenings, I called them, where I'd go to people's houses and, it'd be like 10, 20 people. There'd be a nice little, food laid out, a couple of bottles of wine, and I would do an evening of mediumship for them. It was very, very popular. And I went around this house, and this man that came through was the dad and the husband. So a lot of the people there obviously loved this man, and he was a massive character, really funny, really cheeky, and his favourite music was Rat Pack music, Frank Sinatra as well. And so I said, "Do you think you're really good, Dad?" He goes, "Yeah, I think I'm pretty cool. I think I'm pretty cool." So I said, "Right, okay." So I said, "Well, if you're that great," I said, "play us your favourite music." And the CD player came on, and My Way started to play, which was the song that they played at his funeral. They could not get out quick enough. The family was absolutely terrified. They ran out of that house like a jackrabbit. They were out. And I just stood there thinking, wow, it can't get any better than that. And it took them ages. This is the other thing I come across, is that so many people are so intrigued and so excited about getting signs from the spirit world, but when they get them, they freak, because there's so much out there on the media that makes it scary if you get something happen in your house. You know, they think they're going to get sucked through the TV, you know, "Come back, Carolyn," and all that kind of stuff. It's
Cross
not.
over, children. Cross into the light. Everyone, Keith Anthony Blanchard, a student of Light Radio. Today, my guest is Nicky Allen, and we're speaking about her life, recent, as well as her book, Me, Myself, and I, about her miraculous journey towards the healing of chronic illness. Yeah, show that puppy. Let's let everybody see what that thing is.
Look at that book.
I asked this of a lot of my guests. Let me ask you: how many books? This is not your first one, is it?
Yeah.
First one. That's right.
Because what? Sorry, go on.
What was it like to be you when you heard and you knew it was delivering that first book, the prototype, and what did it feel like? And then when you get the box of books a few months later, and you open up that box, or what is it like to complete such a journey?
What it's like.
I know what it's like. I know what it's like.
Do you know what? I never intended for it, darling. As I say in the book, I keep a soul journal, always have done, which is all of my, details of my feelings, dreams, meditations, blah, blah, blah. And so I was writing my feelings out. When I could actually pick up a pen and could see properly, I was writing entries. Then I was getting pushed into, "You shall write your story," by the spirit world and the angel realms. I'm like, no, I'm not doing that. Hell no. And then I started thinking, do you know what? I could help inspire people with chronic illness. And so I just started putting some blog entries out, and people said, "Wow, you should really make this a book. I really want to read your whole story." So that's how it came about. So I didn't even think it's going to get anywhere. Within a week, I got a deal. And they said, yes, we're really interested. Give us the rest of it. I'm like, I can't believe it. So it was all a bit, I don't know, it was a bit surreal. It was almost like it wasn't really happening. And my friend was here when the knock came and the book arrived. And I sat there and I was numb to begin with, right? Because I thought I never even intended this to happen. And then, weirdly enough, I burst into tears. I think it was almost like the end product of the worst, most darkest, desperate time of my life. And there was something now that I could use to help and inspire other people. And it overwhelmed me. I sat there crying for about 10 minutes. So she's going, "Oh my God, what's the matter? Is there something wrong with the cover?" I'm saying, no, I just can't believe that I'm sitting here looking at my book. And it was always been one of my aspirations in life to actually do a book. But to have it physically in your hands and look at it and think, wow, that was a part of my life I never want to return to, but if it can help other people, I'm in. It was incredible. So yeah, it was a really emotional experience. I felt very proud of myself as well, for achieving something I'd always wanted to do. But the other thing is, Keith, is that I get people from all over the world writing to me, emailing me, saying, "Thank you for your book. Thank you for its brutal honesty," because I didn't want to make it all glossy and lovely. I didn't want to cover over the bits that make us feel ugly if we expose it. I wanted to show how badly I was living life. Even though I was this huge psychic medium and on television and doing all my stuff, I wasn't living it myself. I didn't believe in myself. And so I wanted to show that, and it's worked, because I thought perhaps people will think, God, she made bad decisions, all the rest of it. But most people can identify in taking wrong relationships, in using alcohol to block pain out, in, you know, trying to be someone different and adopt a persona because they've been so badly abused, they've lost all their self-worth. And so I wanted to implement that all in there because so many people have identified with it. And then to see the strength and then watch me on my YouTube channel, see how I am now from that and who I was before, it even overwhelms me because I think that was that me? Was I really that person? It's incredible. It's like a walk-in. It's like that, you know, they did the book, they brought me back, and no, I'm not healed. You know, it's not, hey, I've got the cure for this. But what I do know is I know that I'm never alone, and people should know that. They're never alone, no matter what your creed, colour, race, belief systems, faith. There is a higher power that is looking out for you. You just got to open up to it. And they have got the power. And, you know, some people say to me, well, why haven't they healed you then? Why are you not healed? Why are you not? To me, inside, I am completely healed. Emotionally and spiritually, I am healed beyond anything I could imagine. The fact my physical body lets me down now and then, hey ho, it's a human body. You know, and I find that lots of light workers, healers, and, you know, psychics, mediums, channelers, they all have issues with their body because I feel like we're in such a high vibration. Our soul is such a high vibration. To mix that with a physical body is like mixing oil and water. It is, isn't it? And so many people I know have got fatigue or, you know, have joint problems or body problems or chronic pain, you know, and most of my medium friends have got ME, you know, chronic fatigue syndrome. And I just think it's because, one, we use a lot of energy up as well when we're channeling and when we're bringing spirit people through. And I know we are because I did a Zoom evening of mediumship with my brother 2 weeks ago. And it was fantastic. God bless technology. We had people from all over joining us, Australia, America, and the whole of Europe. It was fantastic. And I felt amazing. I didn't have any pain. I didn't have any fatigue. I was like on a high. That lasted for 24 hours, that did, from right through to the following day because I was channeling spirit people. And then suddenly, bang, I went back into it. I kind of need a bit of I need a bit of a nap now. I need a bit of a sleep, I think. And then I had a bit of pain come back. So, you know, they gave me that for 24 hours. But then, woof, I was, you know, worn out. So I think it does take a lot of energy for us to do that, to channel these people, don't you?
Do you actually go into channel, or is it just move right in, or is it a ritual for you? See, how it works for me, I've done all the techniques and exercises in the early years. I'd sit there and I'd squint really hard. And then something would happen. And I realized that's just a bunch of nonsense. Take a breath. Intend, send yourself somewhere else and let something fill you, and it just happens just like that for me. I mean, I can sit here and close my eyes and go into this however long I choose to allow the energy to move through me, and it'll use my mouth, it'll use my words, it'll use my consciousness, and sometimes I'm present, but sometimes I end up in a world that's so dreamy I don't really remember everything, but I'm here in the chair. I'm just sitting here talking with you, and I can step aside, and the Spirit says, good evening, everyone. Yanava speaks. It's good to see you on this beautiful evening. Every day is a beautiful, I can just keep rolling. So do you have a ritual that you go through, or is it just something you just...
Same, darling.
Boom. Right there.
Boom, I can boom it straight away. However, I obviously have to take, I've asked them to teach me how to teach others that have problems with you know, channeling or going into a deeper state of consciousness. So I do know how to kind of go down into that depth, but I can switch it on the same as you, darling. To me, it's a lateral way of living. It's like I feel I'm here, but I don't feel I'm really here. I don't know if that makes sense, but even more so since my dark night of the soul, I now feel like I'm more spiritual and more with them, hearing their comments and their feelings on things, you know, going by my intuition, and I am really present. So I can switch in and out to just, you know, connecting with the spirit source, connecting with angel realms, or channeling, bringing through Julianus. And it's as natural to me as breathing. And so I'm very, very lucky because I was brought up on it. You know, we had tea leaves in, you know, readings and tarot cards since I was a kid. And so it's always been there. My granddad was phenomenal. He could astrally plane just sitting there. and go off and you know, he did.
Now I'm envious. I'd love to do that. Let me ask you this.
Oh,
I'm going to ask you a question that I already know the answer to. When was there the time that came that you had to shut the door and say, y'all just too noisy. Y'all going to have to lay off for a little while. I need to be me, myself, and I. Was there a time in your life where you, because when this first started to happen for me, through me, with me, y'all need to speak as one person or one at a time because I can't take it. Did that happen for you?
Yes, it did. On a personal level, because as a detective, I needed to kind of shut them up a lot. Because, you know, I remember being in an interview room with this young boy who was the family member of this woman that had been murdered. And I saw him standing there watching her getting strangled by her husband. And I thought, whoa, this is just too much. And I was getting invaded with things. And as a professional police officer, sitting, you know, in a video tape recorded interview, knowing that's going to go to Crown Court, I'm like, whoa, you just need to back off here now and talk to me when I'm not in this environment. And also on a developing level, when I got retired from the police service, I literally had my house alive, spirit babies crying, light bulbs exploding. It was just alive. My partner at the time said, you've got to go and sort this out. What the hell is going on? I said, I don't know. Everywhere I went, Nicky, all the time, and in queues, in shopping malls. Tell my daughter I love her. And I'm like, oh my God, shut up. Do you know what I mean? It wouldn't stop. It wouldn't stop day and night. And even my partner, he was a firearms police officer. And even he was going, oh my God, I can hear them calling you in the bedroom. And he was going, get out. I'm going all posh. Go to the light. He's going, get out. I need my sleep. And so it was a nightmare. And it wasn't until my friend, this was 2003. And it wasn't until my friend said, oh, I'm going to see a medium. I'm really scared. Can you come with me? And I went up to the front door and the medium opened the door and said straight to me, the baby won't stop crying until you start working for the spirit world, because it is your destiny to be a spirit ambassador. And I went, whoa, okay. And so I walked in, she goes, don't worry about leaving the police force. She goes, you need to start working for us. You start in my circle next week. And then that's when it all just quietened down. Within a month, I did my first Spiritualist Centre demonstration in front of people. And that was when I had to put my foot down, because what happens is, when you get lots of people that you know are spirit people communicating with you, you're so humble to begin with, and you're so amazed by it that you just allow them all to come in. But then I'm suddenly got this audience looking at me thinking, well, hang on a minute, who are you talking to? Because they were all going, oh, there's my daughter, there's my mum, there's Doreen, there's Bert, there's John. And I'm like, oh, well, what? And then in the end, in this church, I just went, whoa, stop. I said, now, what's going to happen is I'm going to sit down and you're all going to shut up. And one of you will talk to me. All the audience, this is a church, by the way, a spiritualist church. All the audience are going, oh, my God, what's going on? Right? Because I think I've been real feisty when I need to be. Old police officer back, you know, coming out. I went, whoa. And I just went, no. So I said, this stops now. You either speak to me respectfully, one at a time, or I'm going to sit here and do nothing. And I sat down and the whole place, you could hear a pin drop. It was so quiet. And I just went, you done? Okay, I'll have my first communicator, please. I couldn't believe I did it. But do you know what? It worked. And that one came in and then he said, oh, I've got my wife here. Can we talk to our daughter? And it was, you know, and then I could steer it well. And as soon as I know that they're taking the mickey a bit, I'll pull back. But obviously now, because of my condition, I used to be able to do readings every day, demonstrations every night. I physically can't do it anymore. I'm not well enough. That is why obviously the angel realms and my guides and my spirit family guided me to become a writer and a teacher on YouTube. So I'm trying to implement things that I can help people with that don't use so much of my energy up. So I only do the odd demonstration now because it's too tiring. And so they know that. So, like, for instance, the Zoom evening I did with my brother, Richard Allen, a couple of weeks ago. Oh, God. I sat here waiting, thinking, oh, it's not too bad. I think there's a nice orderly queue of spirit people. And then suddenly, oof, it was like, again, do you know ghosts when they're all in a room? you know, Whoopi Goldberg's room, and they're all sitting there trying to talk to her, and it was just like that. And I'm like, oh no, come on, guys, just chill out, come on. Because I had been working for so long, they were in like a shot, which is great because you know you're going to get a communicator at the end of the day. But wow, it was hard work pushing them back. So yeah, I've had that a couple of times, but the main one was definitely me standing in that church the first time I ever did a platform, sitting down and going, wow, this isn't happening. And honestly, the faces of the people, it was hilarious. Only way you can do it though, isn't it? You've got to.
Do you love what you do?
I adore it. You know, at the end of the day, you know, I am quite comfortable. I can just about get by, you know, without luxury. And so I don't really need to work. I have a police pension and that covers my bills and that's it, and my food and stuff. So, you know, it's not as if I need to work, but there is something within me that I cannot stop needing.
I know that. I know that
people.
fire. There's a fire inside of this guy.
Exactly. I sit and dedicate hours and hours to emails and YouTube, which you don't even get paid for. Like YouTube is just tiny little amounts you get on, you know, for the subscribers you get and everything. I didn't even go on it for that. It was because they told me to 3 years ago or 4 years ago, whenever it was. And I just get joy out of people writing me saying, you've changed my life. And lots of people say, well, if Nicky can do it, I can. And that is just makes me, and it's not an egotistical thing either. You know, I'm happy, say, you know, doing a favour for someone or changing their life, however they perceive my help to be. But I couldn't stop it if I tried, to be honest with you, darling. I couldn't stop it. I just can't. I was even sitting on the patio two days ago, and there's this drone of bees. You know, bees are very significant to me. Very much a spirit animal for me. And I'm like, wow, and I've never really tuned into it before. And I've got this huge shrub in my garden. It's got about 100 odd bees. It's a really bee-friendly shrub. So I thought I need to share this because we need to look after the planet. So there's me standing there, just in my knickers. Nobody knows that. I've revealed an exclusive secret. What do you call them? What do you call knickers? It's not pants, because pants. What do you call ladies' undergarments?
Panties.
Panties. That's it, of course, panties. So I was standing in my panties and nothing else, recording the bees, saying, go and buy this shrub so you can help the bees. So anything that I feel like will bring upliftment to people or will help, you know, the planet, I will do it. I will try and do everything I can to spread my knowledge, my awareness. And the biggest passion I have now is to help people through their darkest times.
Love it. Everyone, Keith Anthony Blanchard, the Center of Light Radio. Today, my guest is Nicky Allen. We're speaking about her new book, Me, Myself, and I, Diary of a Psychic. You're still doing readings, yeah? And if so, I have been posting Nicky's contacts and links on any social platform that she's with in the forums while she was talking with me. Jump seat. Go see what she's about. They can book a session with you.
They can, but I can't do as many as I used to. That's the problem. If anything, you know, I do free readings, tarot readings on YouTube, on my YouTube channel. I do
I need to come get one from you.
Yeah, of course you do, darling. Pop along.
It's one of the perks of being in the biz.
Exactly. But, you know, I've got my second book that I'm working on at the moment that's nearly, well, it is finished. I've just got to reread it and edit it and look at it and make sure it makes sense, which is Survival, a simple guide to the afterlife, which includes a map of heaven that they've showed me. That's all good. So I'm working on that. So really,
whoa!
You know, I used to be able to do.
Hang on a second. You can't just drop that delicious nugget and just run off. They showed you a map of heaven. You can't just drop a bomb like that and skip right over it.
Okay, if you go to, I remember when I was teaching, I had this building at the bottom of my old garden, right? And I used to teach and I used to do demonstrations there, healing, readings, all sorts of stuff. It was fabulous. It was completely dedicated to spiritual stuff. And I remember doing this meditation for the students, and suddenly I was taken to this most amazing place called the Crystal Palace. Never heard of it. And so other people went, oh my goodness, you went to the Crystal Palace? Never heard of it, didn't even know what it was. And basically, they created this imagery to help us with our human minds understand the concept of heaven. So rather than, you know, trying to describe to people frequencies and layers of ethereal planes and God knows what, they said, right, we're going to give you a map of heaven, and we want you to describe this to people so they can help understand what is at the core of the universe, what is at the core of where the angels reside, where the spirit people reside, where guides reside. I'm like, okay. So I'm a bit dubious. You know, at the end of the day, I'm an open-minded skeptic. As a detective, you know, you've got to get evidence. So I need evidence. So they started showing me these various chambers and areas where you go in heaven. And I decided to take my students there after I'd got a few of the rooms off pat. I thought, right, if you go into the main room and you turn right, you're going to the cherubim chamber. And this cherubim chamber, when I was in there, their heads turned to oxen. You know, the cute little cherubs? Heads turned to lion and oxen. And then they were judging me. And I realised that I was in a bad person's body, and watch what happens to a bad soul dissipate in this pool of milk. Turns into black boiling water. When I read the First Testament, when I Google cherubim chamber, it says, and thou shalt change their heads to lion and oxen as they become the right hand judge of God. And they shall boil in their own. And I'm like, so what they showed me is in the Old Testament. Couldn't believe it. So anyway, I say to my students, right, let's go and have, I was using them as guinea pigs, really. So I said, come on, let's go to the front door of the Crystal Palace. I'll get you up there, don't worry. And then they go, oh, well, I walked in, I turned right, and there was all these cherubs on the wall. I'm like, oh my God, that's where I was. And they said, and there was this big pool, and it was like milk in this pool. I'm like, what? Then the door straight ahead leads to the celestial garden. So the student would say, well, I walked straight ahead and I came out in this garden full of roses, and there was this huge iridescent fountains with these ladies singing. I'm like, it's the seraphim at the pool of life. So everywhere that I had already been to, my students were going. So I've now written a map where the reality layer is, which is where we all go when we go to heaven. And that's where we create our reality, you know, whether it be sailing, fishing, what house we want to live in, who we want to live with. That's a reality layer. That's just behind the celestial gardens, which is right next to the halls of learning, which is where our guides are.
Would this be true for everyone, or is there a common denominator for everyone? And does it cater to one's belief systems, models, ideas? In other words, I'm sure there's definitely a base or a basic map layout, if you will. I mean, some people like to travel this way to California or that way to California. So the scenery may be a little different, but either way, we're all going to California. Does that apply?
You can take the scenic route. Well, all I can say is, and I don't know if it's because we were in the same, you know, intentional circle of energy that they knew where to go. Because every time over 20 odd years I've taken students, they've gone exactly where I know they're going. As soon as they say, oh, I turn right, I think I know where they're going. They're going in the room where the eye is. And so this huge eye was looking at me. So I don't know. All I can do, I think what one of my missions is to simplify everything to do with the afterlife. Because so many people make it so difficult. It's like, you know, one of my favourite books is the Celestine Prophecies, but to read through it and understand it, oh my God, it's just like you might as well read it in Latin upside down in water. It's so hard to grasp. You've really got to work at it, haven't you, to understand the concept of what it's trying to deliver. Mm-hmm. And so I try and make it as easy as possible for people. And it's, you know, I have to make it more human-like. Because people can't grab the concept of being a spirit person. And I say, it's like 24/7 dreaming. Have you ever had the most lucid dream where you can feel, hear, taste, smell everything? You know exactly what's going on. And it's,
I'm having one now. I'm having one now.
Yes, it's called Earth. And they go, yeah. I said, that's what it's like to be a spirit person. You know, that's what happens when your soul disappears and astrally planes and does what it does and astrally travels. That's how it feels. And so they still can't grasp it. They can grasp, though, that their nan's still wearing a favourite blue dress. And so you have to simplify it through imagery. And so part of what I'm doing is a tour, and I'm also doing it. In fact, the biggest hit, because I'm only a small YouTuber, But the biggest hit that I've had, and it's only 13,000, I'm only a tinky winky little one, but the biggest hit was my guided meditation to visit in heaven. Everybody wants to know what heaven's like. Of course they do. Everybody, it's the biggest question in mankind, apart from why do we have taxes? And, you know, it is literally what happens after we die. What happens after we die? And so I say, well, this is what I know, and this is what, you know, lots of my students have experienced, and this is what I've been shown time and time again. What do you reckon? Have a go. And amazingly, again, with that guided meditation, visiting heaven, I was worried I'd upset people. But I thought, oh, I'm putting it on there. And again, it's working. People are coming to me saying, you know, emailing me, messaging me saying, I've been up and seen my mum in heaven. I've been up and seen my dog in heaven. I can't believe it worked. And even if it is psychological, even if it is they're imagining it, what does it matter? We're bringing comfort to people down here. That the human experience is getting so hard, especially with the climate of our planet at the moment.
Well, and also the fact that is reality. Imagination is reality. Because if you had my imagination and I had yours, we'd be the same person.
Exactly. Absolutely
You
right.
imagine we make this all up. I mean, you know, we're not trying to trivialize anyone's sacred, precious, troublesome life, if that is applicable to you. I mean, you know, when you see someone like myself or Nicky or many other teachers out there, and they speak about this place, we can't really talk about a place we're trying to achieve. We're talking about the place that we're launching from. You know, I might look like the same guy, or Nicky might look like the same person she did 5-10 years ago, or whoever you are that may have grown or coming into your own, or coming home, crossing that bridge to your soul. The reality out here is fantastic. What's that?
I love the title of your book. That's so cool. I love the way you just slid that in as well. You're a legend, you are, Keith.
I've worked on my wordsmithship. So this place that we launch from, it's you know, it's inside. When you do an interior spiritual feng shui, your spiritual ambiance gets even better and more delicious. The outside begins to vibrate according to how you see it. You no longer respond to nonsense. It doesn't mean that nonsense doesn't need your attention. It may. In fact, that's probably why you're already deciding inside of your head that it's nonsense, because it needs your attention to help bring it into a lighter, lofty perspective. So we call it nonsense. This is nonsense. So now I'll do the spiritual work to help the outside world, or people I care about, or situations I care about, to graduate to another possibility. And so when you were saying earlier about, you know, trying to put 5D or higher levels of consciousness into these 3-dimensional dense bodies, well, of course a lot of us come on and take on these bodily things, because that bodily thing doesn't belong to me, doesn't belong to Nicky. It belongs to the consciousness here, and I'm taking it on, Nicky's taking it on, you taking it on, we're taking it on. So we find a way to bring about a way to disrupt and dissipate this energy. Like Padre Pio said, well, this is a story of Padre Pio. For those who know about Padre Pio, a Catholic monk who had stigmata, the wounds of Christ. Yeah. They would put him in his bedroom at night. As soon as they shut the door to go to sleep, they would hear a brawl commence. He'd wake up in the morning with nose bloodied, black eyes, because physical demons would manifest in his room. Why physical demons? Why would they manifest? Well, because of his Catholic upbringing, God, devil, demons, angels. This kind of, they would literally manifest in his life as a way he could punch them out, so to speak. But it was all metaphorical. It's his way of transmuting, transfiguring, manipulating the energy through said fight. He really didn't need to fight. It was just his way of molding a new piece of clay, basically.
Yeah, absolutely agree. Absolutely agree. So when you try and deliver that concept, though, to people that are looking for something, they don't know what they're looking for, but they're verging towards us, aren't they? They're coming towards us, because there is nothing on this planet at the moment that brings them comfort. People are in loss, grief, fear, and they're in a complete crisis. So when you try and deliver that concept to them, you lose them. So that is why I try and simplify everything by bringing humour, simplifying the process of why we're here, simplifying the process of group consciousness and universal consciousness, The 5D, 3D thing as well, they get a bit lost on that. So you know, us talking together, I totally get what you're saying. Totally, 100%, I'm on that. But when you're talking to the people, the sheep that you want to bring into the fold, they need simplicity. And so that is why this next book is very simplistically done, where they can understand and conceive what I'm trying to deliver. You know, because they get lost otherwise. And you know, I don't want to implement too much of the religious element to it, or, you know, because some people say, oh, you say about archangels that come in, you know, they're from the Bible. I say, no, they're just people that have come to me and helped me. I don't look at them as whether they come from God or come from here or come from there. He's just said his name, showed me the ray of light he works on, and says to me, I'm here if you need me. That's how I've learnt my connection with the angels. So, you know, and that is how so when I speak to people, it's like I say, oh, Michael's in, I love him, he's my buddy, right? We're talking about an archangel that has visited in this most amazing presence and dropped into the consciousness to try and raise the consciousness of me and who I affect. Saying that, they're like, flatline. But if I say, oh yeah, Michael works on a Blu-ray, he'll help you out and help you move forward, don't worry, just ask him to pop in or do me guided meditation, they can understand that. And what they don't realize is they're entering into that consciousness. They're entering into the same vibrational frequency as we are. But as far as they're concerned, they're just seeing Michael and doing a little guided meditation. And so, you know, and I'm not belittling people either by saying this, but to make it simplistic and not scary, and that you're not doing some occult behavior, I think is a way forward of drawing in more people to be more conscious about themselves. And again, I've seen people grow amazingly from when they've come to the YouTube channel, read my book, and they say, I'm quite interested in this, what else shall I do? And I just become a psychic sponge, become a sponge of universal energy, read, you know, suck in whatever you want to. Luckily, mine was all brought to me from my spirit family, from them. I've never read anything unless they've told me to. And so I'm watching people growing more and more into their light, into their energy. And that is the biggest buzz for me as well. Oh, God, it's like just doing a bottle of tequila.
You better behave with that tequila, girl. I used to slug some tequila. I had to chill out on that for a while. I get the feeling you have a little creature around you taking a nap.
Oh God, I'm so sorry. This is Mia.
Well, I got an intuitive hit that there was a little fur baby next to you.
Oh yeah, she's.
Well, to be honest with you, I can hear her snoring.
I know. I'm so sorry. The problem is, right, what's happening is that I've asked the angels. Oh, this is amazing, right? I've got to say this. So this is a problem, is that because they're both rescuers, obviously they're written in the book. They rescued me, I rescued them. And she came from a puppy farm, and I'm her strength, basically. So if I go into another room, it's not great, but then we've grown together because I was 5 years in bed. That's all they know is being with me. So they get a bit of separation disorder. So if I shut the door, you're going to hear them moan. Problem is, she snores like a drain. So I said to them, look, because I'm doing more and more of these, and I love talking to you guys in the States. I've done one interview in the UK. Every other one I've done, and I've done a load now since the book launch, all in the States and Canada. Just incredible. So the problem is, all you can hear, if you listen to all of the podcasts and all of the radio shows, you can hear it going. And I'm like, oh man. So I said to the angel realms, I sent it up. I said, okay, Jophael, Abundance. I said, listen, love, I'm not being, this is how I talk to him, by the way. Listen, love, I'm not being funny, but I really need some help here. I need some sort of cash coming in. So I need to convert my garage so that I can go out and do my shows, and the dogs will think I've gone out, so that I've got no interference, because it's not good enough. The other night, you know, I was on a live show, and Teddy, my other dog, started barking because someone's walking past. And I'm like, oh, I can't keep doing this. I said, can you just help me out? The following day, this is how it works for me now. The following day, I get a phone call, and I don't normally pick them up because it's an unknown number. So I pick up myself, and I'm like, hey, you know, who's this? Oh, you know, is this Nicky? Yeah, yeah. And they said, oh, I've been trying to find you for ages. So I said, oh, really? So, and I'm thinking, this is a, you know, one of those telesales things. She said, yeah. She goes, I'm from the Police Mutual Assurance Society. When you're a police officer, you put money into a savings plan. I said, did I? And she said, yes, and it matured 3 months ago, and we didn't have a current address for you or an email. It's only randomly we found you through retired police officer listing. And so she said, you've got £10,000 sitting waiting for you.
Crack that bottle of tequila.
So I'm buying a tequila farm. So, and that is going to pay. So I spoke to my neighbour, whose dad's a builder. He goes, yeah, I can do that easily. He goes, you won't need that much money. So I'm going to actually have what you like. You've got a really sexy setup there. I don't know if it's a green screen or not, but it's sexy. So I'm going to have my own dedicated room to do my readings, do my YouTube, and do whatever. Whoop whoop. And
you know, the other day I went to this cleaning spell. I mean, I live very easy. I like doing my work. I don't care if my house is in a little bit of a mess. I mean, I don't live filthy. I don't care if there's a pair of pants thrown over the chair and a coat on the floor. I don't care about any of that. I'm going to clean my house. So Eden and I and another friend, we were cleaning, and I decided to tend to my altar. It's time to tend to my altar. Clean it up, dust it off, rearrange some things. It's really cool when you have a sacred space. You know, your life is a sacred space, of course, but when we can alter ourselves by passing by our altar, it's really, really fun. Can you leave us with a final thought? Thank you for being such a delightful, funny, very illumined guest on Center of Light Radio. Anything you'd like us to know before we exit?
Darling, it was all you. You brought it out in me. I'd just like to say to anybody that, yes, please read the book or come and join me on YouTube. But all I can say is whatever happens in your life, if you surrender and you adapt, you will thrive. That's all you've got to know. Whatever happens in your life, you've got to surrender to it, accept it, adapt, and you will thrive. And that's the main message that fundamentally comes from this book. And, you know, if you want to come and see me on my YouTube channel, Nicky Allen, the bedroom guru. Because I do a lot of stuff from my bed when I'm on bad days. I thought it'd bring a lot more in, to be fair, the bedroom guru.
Surrender, adapt, thrive.
Surrender, adapt. That's the one thing, you know, because I kept mourning my old life. And when we have crises take place, whether it's a divorce, whether it's a loss, whether we have to move house, whether it's illness, lack of health, whatever it is, you know, we spend too much time. And this is what delayed my recovery as well, which they made me aware of, is that we spend too much time mourning the life we used to have, the money we used to have, the relationship we used to have. So if you surrender and think, you know what? I've got to accept that this has happened, surrender myself to it, accept and adapt. How can I now live a life without that situation, that person, that thought, that feeling, that memory? What have I got to do to adapt myself to be able to thrive? And then once you do that, acknowledging what's lost, adapt to your new way of life, you will thrive. There's no way there's no other way for it. The thing that I find is humans tend to stay in this nostalgic loop that keeps them in their trauma, and they refuse to adapt to their new circumstances. They just want to mourn the loss of what they've lost. And one of the most brilliant things that Julianus once said to me, and I just want people to remember this metaphor, is he said to me about the past, because I had a lot of issues from my past, and I could, but this happened to me, that happened to me, this happened to me. And he goes, what? Hang on a minute. So he said to me, there's two chests. One represents your past. It's empty. There's nothing in it whatsoever, and it's standing behind you. He said the next chest is just in front of you, full of jewels and gems and opportunities. Why are you insisting on walking back and holding on to an empty chest? Because as long as you stand there holding that, you will never be able to grab that one in front of you. That's lovely. A brilliant metaphor, because it's true. Let go of your past, surrender to your situation, adapt, and you will thrive.
Thank you for joining me tonight. Thank you. Stick around for a second. I'd love to chat with you after, if that's okay. Everyone else, Nicky Allen, her new book, links are in the forum all night long. I've been dropping them. Check her out. Book a reading. Go stomp all over her work. Let her know you exist. Center of Light Radio, Keith Anthony Blanchard here. You know, Nicky, I used to say that. I still say that. The reasons many people's lives never change is because they're scared to die. I'm sorry to tell you, my condolences are with you. In order for anything to ever change, you are going to have to die. Some part of you is going to have to say bye-bye. And now it's time for me to, at least for this moment, say bye-bye. Good to see you. Center of Light Radio. I'll be seeing you real soon. Peace, love, and know you are loved beyond measure.